What is going on, everybody? I am the FD Guru, bringing to you guys a Friday NBA edition of my DFS podcast. I had tweeted earlier I'm doing a free Guru credit code in this video. Just drop a like and make sure you are subscribed. I'll be doing my NFL Week 15 video tomorrow on Saturday with another free Guru credit code. We finally get a sizable main slate. This week we've seen, 1 game, 2 games, 3 games because of the NBA Cup. It took until all the way till Friday to see an 8-game main slate. Some decent value out there. I'm going to give you a lot of cheaper plays because there's not a lot of cheap value as of right now. We do have some questionable guys that I will touch upon that could change the slate quite a bit, but feel pretty good about the 5 guys I'm about to ship out your way, one for each position, as I always do. I'll give you that Guru credit code after the first couple of my plays. At point guard, I was looking at Chris Paul at 6,500. You could certainly look at him. The Spurs and Blazers game, one of my favorite DFS games on the slate. 2 pretty mediocre teams, like to score the ball, pretty bad defense. We see a 225 over-under. I think the Spurs are 3-point favorites. But my point guard I'm going to look at here tonight is Darius Garland at 6,700. It's rare to see Garland sub 7K. Matchup couldn't be any better against the Wizards, and we have some serious blowout risk in this game. The Cavs are 17-point favorites, but it still makes Garland a good value play. He could easily get there in 3 quarters in a blowout, because if they're blowing out the Cavs, or if they're blowing out the Wizards by, more than 20 points after 3 quarters, chances are Garland's doing some things. He's projected for 36 fantasy points. At that price tag, we need just 33 from him. So on paper, he looks like a good value play. And then if the Wizards can keep this game somewhat competitive, 4 quarters of Darius Garland against the Wizards, sub 7K, he could easily get over 40 fantasy points. We have Evan Mobley questionable. I don't think it really matters if he plays, but if he's out, obviously that, increases the usage for guys like Mitchell, Garland. Jarrett Allen would become a pretty decent play if Evan Mobley is out. But since Mobley's questionable, I'll talk about the other guys who are out and who are questionable on this slate. Miles Bridges on the Hornets has been out. He might be coming back tonight. He's questionable. The Bulls are a mess right now. 8 o'clock Eastern game. Hopefully we get the news before lock. Josh Giddey, Patrick Williams, and Nikola Vucevic all questionable in this game. Makes for a bit of a mess. We have LeBron James out tonight. AD could be a good spend up. I'm worried that the Timberwolves could run away with that game. They are only 8.5-point favorites, but they just blew out the Lakers a few games ago, and that was with LeBron playing. The T-Wolves are at home as well. If that game stays close, though, it'll probably be because Anthony Davis is having a monstrous game without LeBron James. Nothing new with the Nets and Grizzlies. No one questionable. The guys who have been out, are out in this game. Big news for Jamal Murray. We got an update earlier that he was out, and now he's ruled back to questionable. So the NBA news never fails to surprise us. We had Jakob Poeltl. They had a 7:30 Eastern game last night, the Raptors, and at 7:33 he got ruled doubtful because of his back. So the game was already, actually supposed to tip off, and he gets ruled doubtful after the game locks and doesn't start. You see Bruno Fernando start for the Raptors, and then he ends up coming in off the bench and playing like 30 minutes. I mean, absolute nonsense. I'm glad I didn't have Poeltl. That would have drove me crazy. The news has been a little bit wild as of late. The NBA is always just an absolute crapshoot. But if Jamal Murray's out, obviously Nikola Jokic would look awesome. I think Nikola Jokic looks like a great play no matter what tonight as a spend-up. The top 3 spend-ups at center I do think are viable tonight. Jokic being my favorite. He is almost 13K, but if Jamal Murray were to miss, Jokic could absolutely go off in what should be a competitive game against the Clippers. We have Kevin Durant coming back for the Suns. They're fully healthy now, and then the Spurs are banged up. They're going to be a big value team on this slate. We have Castle out for the Spurs. We have Zach Collins, Keldon Johnson, and Trey Jones all out. So we have some nice value pieces to come from the Spurs. And then the Blazers are a little bit of a mess in the front court. All three centers are questionable right now. And that game's at 10 o'clock Eastern, so there's no way to prepare for that. DeAndre Ayton, Donovan Clingan, and Robert Williams are all questionable. Looks like an absolute mess in the front court for the Blazers tonight. But that wraps up the injury stuff as of right now. You never know what can happen. But Darius Garland looks like a good value play at point guard. Shooting guard, I was just talking about the Spurs. Whether he starts or not, I don't really care. He played 28 minutes last game off the bench. Looks like he's pretty far removed from his injury. I would expect Devin Vassell to play 30 minutes tonight. They had 5 days off because of the NBA Cup this week. Hasn't played since December 8th. Played 28 minutes in that last game. He didn't play well, but I don't really care about that. Vassell is still a great player. The matchup's awesome against the Blazers tonight. I don't know who they're going to start. He might come off the bench. They might start Jeremy Sohan at power forward, and then keep the other guys to fill in Castle, Champagnie, and Harrison Barnes. But either way, I think Vassell's going to get a ton of run tonight, whether he starts or comes off the bench. He's projected for 32 fantasy points. At 6K, he needs, as I always say, when you say value in DFS, it's 5x the salary on FanDuel. So 5 times 6, because he's 6K, would be 30. So for Vassell to hit value, he needs to get 30 fantasy points. That's how you calculate a player hitting value in DFS. But I do think he's going to get 30 or more to make himself a good value play at shooting guard tonight. For that Guru credit code, go to my website. You can make an account. It takes 30 seconds. All you got to do is confirm an email address. No credit card required. You get a bunch of, Guru credits once you sign up, just to trial out my website. For this Guru credit code, go to my shop page where you buy your usual credits that get you NBA and NFL, FanDuel, and DraftKings lineups. There's a little coupon bar here. Type in the date, all caps, DEC 13, NBA 24 for the year, all caps, DEC 13, NBA 24. You'll get 10 credits after you hit apply coupon. It should say, as shown here, coupon successfully applied, and then those credits will go into your account after a few seconds. And again, just like this video, that's all I ask when we do these giveaways. I try to do as many as I can. Small forward, we're going to go on the other side in this Spurs and Blazers game. Now, I mentioned it's a mess in the front court, but there is some value in the back court for the Blazers. I do like Shaedon Sharpe at sub 6K. He's their main, shooter with Anthony Simons, and Sharpe's been a little bit more consistent than Simons. Again, great matchup here. I think both of these teams score a decent amount of points tonight. Sharpe is projected for 29 fantasy points. He needs 27 to hit value at that $5,700 salary. He can play small forward and shooting guard on FanDuel, so he's pretty versatile to fit into your lineup, which always makes things a little bit easier. But like I said, there's not a ton of cheap value, so I'm just trying to touch upon the top guys right now so you guys can spend up on whoever you like. Power forward, I had mentioned Vassell. I had mentioned that they're probably going to start Sohan at power forward because they've already started him in the past. I like Sohan at 6,300. Again, if Vassell starts and Sohan comes off the bench, I feel the same way as if Sohan started and Vassell comes off the bench. I think there's a lot of extra usage in minutes for these guys. These guys are usual starters. They've been in and out of injuries throughout the season. They're both, Vassell is 5 games since being removed from his injury. Sohan is 5 games, or 4 games, I should say. I could see him playing 30 minutes tonight. With no Castle, Castle's been a great rookie for the Spurs, playing a ton of minutes. With no Castle and Keldon Johnson, they are thin off of that bench. So the Spurs are awesome. I had mentioned Chris Paul when I picked Darius Garland. He's viable too. You could pick 4 Spurs on your cash lineups tonight. I would not have a problem with that whatsoever. Even Victor Wembanyama, let's not forget about their best player, 11,000. We know his ceiling. I don't see the Blazers really stopping Wembanyama in the front court, especially if DeAndre Ayton's out. A lot of Spurs to get to. I don't trust Harrison Barnes, and I don't trust Champagnie with all these other guys back. But, Guys like Vassell, Jeremy Sohan, Chris Paul, Wembanyama, they're all viable. The 2 Spurs I have in this video are my favorite value plays from this team. And then for center, we're going to get cheap again. You could definitely spend up on Jokic. I don't know what I'm doing with him yet, but he's my favorite spend up on the slate, and it's not really close. Zubac could dominate Jokic. He's dominated Jokic before. Second game of the season when they played the Nuggets, he played 39 minutes and dropped 48 fantasy points. He's shown a 50 to 60 fantasy point ceiling. Don't mind him at 7,200. I don't mind Nick Claxton at 6,100. Good value against the Grizzlies. Good spot. Played 32 minutes last game. He's a guy that can fill it up on the defensive end and on the boards. He had 54 fantasy points last game. He looks like he's solidified as their starter, playing 28 to 32 minutes. He grades out really well. He needs 30 fantasy points to hit value. But for this video, my value center, very cheap, probably going to be pretty damn popular at only 4,800. Jusuf Nurkic. He should be starting. He's coming back from an injury. Only missed 5 games. I would still expect him to play at least 25 minutes tonight. Great matchup against the Jazz. The Suns are fully healthy. It doesn't really affect Nurkic, though, in my opinion. He's still their main big guy. He's projected for 24 fantasy points on this slate. He needs 22.5 to hit value. I don't mind Nurkic. It's definitely a little risky, although his ceiling is great. As you can see here, 47, 37, but he has a really low floor, too. 15, 13, 11. He could definitely throw a dud on you, but at this price, with him being back, the fact that he's not even probable or questionable means that he's fully healthy. And again, as I've mentioned earlier, a lot of these teams have had 5 days of rest. They haven't played since December 8th. If you weren't in the NBA Cup, you've been resting all week. Nurkic should be good to go. He's not even probable. He's just confirmed not on the injury report, and it was a thigh issue, so he should be good to go. I like him at 4,800. He should honestly be 5,800, if not a little bit more, in this spot against the Jazz. That'll do it for this slate, guys. Obviously, things can change. We have a handful of guys questionable that could open up some other things, but give this video a like, subscribe. Let's have a great start to our weekend. Until next time, I am the FD Guru. Peace.